In today's video I'd like to cover a little bit more about Charlie Christian, and this time with dominant chords. I previously covered minor chords, and if you missed that lesson then check the description and the card above. But today let's talk about dominant chords and some of the shapes that he used and the notes he liked to target and the way he played them. Without Charlie being around today, it's impossible for us to know whether he thought in shapes, whether he went forward in time and got a book on the cage system. We'll never know. But one thing for sure is when we listen to his music and you study it, you start to see similar ideas coming up. We've got a few principal shapes, but I think one thing to note with Charlie when he played over dominant chords, the one thing I've noticed from playing a lot of his music and listening to a lot of it, he likes to include the 9th and the 6th a lot, the 6th or the 13th, whatever you want to call it. So let's take G7 as our example for today. You know, G, B, D, F is the primary chord tone, so that's your dominant 7th chord. So that would be, you know, this. But he likes to add in the 6th and the 9th. So the 6th being E because it's the 6th note of the G major scale, and A, the 9th or the 2nd because it's just the 2nd note of the G major scale, or the 9th note if you go into the 2nd octave. So G, A, like that, or G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A. So that would be the 9th note I count to. So the 6th or 13th, the 2nd or 9th, whatever you want to call them, are the notes which he quite often adds in. Now, if we take some sort of basic shapes, and there's kind of 3 that I come across a lot. This one is just without all the added notes. So you got that up here for a G7. So that's B, D, F, G, B, D, F. You could start from the root there on fret 10 of the G as well. So that's our first shape we'll have a look at. So we're up there. Now if we add in the 7th and the 9th, it would sound like this. So I added in A and E there. And he would do things like, that was a big line of his. You can add chromatic notes, but let's just try that. So that's going 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 6th. So we're bypassing some notes. You know, we're missing out. On that way up, we've taken out a 3rd and a root. And a 5th. So that's one shape that you definitely like to use. So that's over a G7. You can easily move that. We're starting on the 3rd, so you just need to know the 3rd of the chord to work out where you go. Move it up 2 frets, it becomes A7. Really nice sound over a G7. That 6 sounds so sweet on top. You know, with these shapes you can also fill the gaps between any of the notes. So if I put it on the screen now, so this shape, you know, you can see I've filled in the gaps between, and those are chromatic sort of passing notes that you can put in. Yes, the root 3rd, 5th, 7th, 6th and 9th are still our target notes, but we can fill the gaps between them. Say they're going 3rd, minor 3rd, which is a chromatic note, to the 9th. Say this, go 5th down to 3rd to start that line off. So as much as you play about with these shapes and you target those notes, don't be afraid of filling the gaps between them. Let's fill the gap between the root and the 7th. Sounds like between the 3rd and 2nd and 9th. There. Yeah, lots of nice ways there. So just using that shape and then filling the gaps between those notes. Another shape that I think is apparent a lot in his playing is this one, which is a D7 shape if you like. You know. So this is for G7 at fret 5. You know, we'd add root, 3rd, 5th, like that. You hear that? It sounds like I'm ready. And again, let's add the 6th and the 9th. So we've added an E and an A. I'm sure you used to do that a bit. You know, just experiment with it as a complete set of notes. Then try, you know, phrasing with it or missing some notes. Starting on, you know, he likes putting stuff on the and. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Again, fill the gaps. So it goes G, then there's the third, there's the fifth. Let's fill the gap between it. Between the third and the ninth. Lots of ways you can do it, but that's two shapes. So we had two sort of basic shapes without the sixth and the ninth, which were and then we filled in the sixth and the ninth. You can get the root there as well. Fill the gaps, which I put on that little chart. So two shapes there for G7 to have a go with. Another one I like that he used was this one, which is like the B minor 7 flat 5 shape. So we're over G7 again here. Then you can go into a scale or other notes from the chord. And you'd often pair it with this shape. So this one you see creeping up a lot. You hear that movement, and it sounds cool because it's going third straight to the seventh. So we bypass the fifth, we bypass the root to go straight to the ninth, then we go to the fifth. So instead of being like playing an arpeggio in order, we're skipping out notes like that. You can go up to a note then. The other shape, you know, we've got this little shape here. It's like from an E shape, E7 shape bar chord, and we can, you know, have just this, or we can have. So 7, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 9. Got the flat third we could put in here at fret 3. You know, that's going that. You know, flat 3, 3, 5 up to the 6. You know, you can put in chromatic passing notes. You have that as those shapes as your sort of focal point, but fill gaps between them chromatically. Play about with rhythmic ideas, play about with the idea of not playing arpeggios in order. I think that's one great thing I've learnt from him is, you know, yeah, G7, spell it out, you know, root third, fifth and seventh, but you don't have to play them in that order. You can skip them out. We learn them. The trouble is we learn arpeggios like this and then we want to do something different, like just playing it, just trying to skip out the when you play this sort of basic arpeggio of a G7, trying to skip out the root feels weird because we're so used to going, but go. Interesting when you just skip out one note and it sounds a bit different, like this. That over dominant chord sounds super cool. Like stuff like that. So takeaways from this is you don't have to play your arpeggios in order. If you want that nice sweet sound that he had when he played over these chords, then add in the sixth and the ninth and get used to his shapes. So we had this one up here, which is kind of like outlining an A7 shape, I suppose, and then we had the D7 shape one, and then we had the ones down here as well. Get used to what's where. You need to know, if you're using something like that, it's fine that it's a shape, but it can't just be a shape. It needs to be, that's B, that's the third, that's D, that's the fifth, that's F, that's the flat 7, and so forth. So it's known. And just the sound, getting used to what the sixth and the seventh, and the ninth sound like, because for me they're super sweet sounding intervals. Thank you for tuning into today's lesson. Any questions or comments, leave them below. And if you missed my previous lesson, as I said, on Charlie Christian's take on minor chords, then how to sort of learn from his approach over those chords, which is a little bit more in depth in today's video, then be sure to check that out, description and card above. Thank you for tuning in. Please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, or liking this video. It really does help boost the channel. And see you next time. Jazz guitar lessons every Wednesday and every Saturday.